judging him. I'm just telling him that you can't ride. I'm only just telling him that you can't. Woo!
Dang, brother's kids. Sister's kids. Somebody else's kids. But anyway, we're going to be converting this over to a quick attach bucket. So, they don't make one for a Cub Cadet that you just bolt on. So, my idea is I got a weld on one. You're kind of supposed to fabricate your own tabs. What I'm hoping to do is cut these ones off. That way I have a flat surface to weld my quick attach to. And then reuse them as the brackets to attach to the quick attach. But first thing I do is knock them pins out. Alright, I hope you can see this because the sun's kind of killer. So I need to keep these lined up and this distance here consistent. It's 3 1/8 inches, give or take a little bit. I mean, there's a little slop in them, they're welded on. But the best way I can figure to hold it still for now would be to put, maybe tack a couple tubes in. Right here and right here. And that'll hold this still, but I still got to cut all the weld out, which, you know, it starts right here. So I'll probably cut this weld the whole way out along the top here on both sides, and then I'll either lay a couple plates over top or put some tubes in here. I got a piece of galvanized. I don't know if you can see it right there. It should fit over pretty well. So I'm not really going to contemplate this for a minute, but either way I cut that weld out first, so we're going to start there on both sides. Alright, let's do it to it. Alright, I got that tab burned off. This one's burned off and ground. You can see I made a hole or two by accident, but we'll get those figured up. We'll either weld them up, and if it's too bad, maybe I'll add a plate on the inside. But now to make this one look like this one. Woo! Alright. Okay, back to this now. I'm going to weld this on here. And that's going to take place of, well, that's where we're going to weld this brackets back to. Because those are the attachments for an extra cylinder. And I doubt I'll ever need them, but if I cut them off and throw them away, I'll probably need them. And also, seeing as how this is a universal kit, we're going to cut, let's turn this line that way. We're going to cut that much off to bring it in line, because where it attaches to the bucket here, if I don't cut this off, this is going to sit lower than the bucket. And that's no good. Alright. Nothing to it but to do it. And some days you end up tackling them littler projects. Ain't that right, buddy? You gonna be happy whenever you get your car back? Well, now that I got the plasma and all done, and I started in on the grinding, I got a 1/16 of an inch longer here, from there to there, than I do from there to here. So freehand-ish plasma cutting, that wasn't too bad. But you see, I left all the structure. The only thing I got rid of was the extension plate. So it should be just as strong. Maybe not as heavy. There's a piece I cut off. But yep. I might grind on it some more to try to get that extra 1/16 out of it, or you never know, I might just be good with it. Because if I take all my measurements from up here, I should be fine. 1/16 of an inch ain't going to make a whole big difference. At least I don't think. Okay, that's today. Alright, status update. Cut these tabs off the bucket. Those are for like an extra cylinder. I don't know if I'll ever use it, but it'd be nice to have it. But anyways, to make it effective, you know, the pin on the tractor there, that's where that cylinder goes between, if I'd ever need to use it. But either way, this was in the way, so it had to come off. I'm going to weld on this right here, and those tabs are going to go right onto it. And it's been notched, so it's perfectly level with this plane. And I'll push right here, it'll help tilt if I ever do decide to. I also trimmed off the edges here, as you can see. There's that one plate. There's the other one. But this just had to be. There was no way that I was going to be able to attach the bucket here at this level and then have all this sticking off the bottom, because this would just dig into the dirt. But anyways, the other thing I'm going to do is, this is the plate that was sent to me by the manufacturer to convert my bucket. This is the piece I was missing and why it took so long to get another update. Anyways, I might try to freehand cut this, I'm not sure, or I might just do it in stages, but I'm going to plasma torch it all out. And the reason I'm taking out this section is two reasons. Number one is to give me more surface area to weld to, so that way this is attached better. And secondly, to shed weight. I'm adding an awful lot of weight to this tractor, and I'd like to get as much of it off as I can. I even contemplated taking this out, you know, between here and here, but I think I'm going to leave it for now. We'll see if it's too much later. But anyway, I'm going to try and, this is going to create an awful lot of mess, so I'm going to try and do it outside. But then we're going to take that, and we're going to grind all this paint off, which is going to take forever. Grind this back flush smooth, grind all this paint off, and then we're going to set this onto here, center it, clamp it, weld it, and then move on. And then we can set that on this, on here. I have to figure out how to get the glare out of some of these shots. But then at that point, we'll be ready to bring tractor over, put the tabs on it, set it on, and weld the tabs onto that over there. And then we'll be completely converted to quick attach. I'll tack it all up before I actually finish welding it, but you get the idea where this is going. Yeah, I kind of burn a hole in my bucket there too, which is rather unfortunate. But we'll just, ain't nothing I can cut that I can't weld back together. Alright, let's do it. Alright, sorry I forgot the video a little bit. But you can see I cut my window out with the plasma and then tacked it in place. I got less than a 30-second difference between the whole way along here and this edge on both sides. It's about 7 3/16 to 7 1/4 almost, maybe. I couldn't get it any better than that, but I attribute that to the fact that the bucket might be a little twisted. You know, it is 20 years old. Is it 20? 15 at least. So, I was having a lot of trouble this close to the window. There's the piece I cut out of the center. This close to the door, excuse me, keeping the shielding gas coming. So, I did this with a little flux core wire. That's why it's kind of crappy and slaggy, but we'll hit that with a wire wheel real quick and clean that up. Now I think I'm going to move it further inside towards my Nova, maybe about there. Close this door so that way maybe the wind doesn't blow my gas away so much. And then I don't know if you can see it here, but I got quite a bit of space here between the top of this and the top of the bucket, and I might try to cut some angle pieces to kind of fill this gap in, maybe a couple spots along the way. We're going to see how that looks when we're done. I'd like to seam this up with weld too, which would make it kind of nice. You know, fill all that in. Might have to make more than one pass. And then I'm going to kind of stitch the bottom. And I don't know if I'm going to weld that up solid or not. Probably not, because it really wouldn't make it any stronger. It just adds more weight. Good stitch welds will work. Maybe weld the sides solid and stitch the top and the bottom. Alright. Nothing to it but to do it. I know that's my catchphrase now. YouTube catchphrase. Woo! Alright, bye. Alright, well, that tab's on. Got my first couple stitch welds in. And everything seems to be going swimmingly except for when we set this in by hand. It was really hard to get it to slide in. We wiggled it and it was kind of good. And I thought at first it was because I left a little bit of slag on the plate, so I ground the plate, and it still kind of was hard to set in, but it works. And then I was working on this tab here. I happened to look down, and I seen that right there is sitting on that little piece of angle. And as you can see, there's a gap there the whole way, and that's because I think it's sitting on that piece of angle. I mean, I'm not going to say the manufacturer, but this is their bracket with their plate, and it doesn't fit without trimming. But in spots where you shouldn't have to trim, I mean, I can understand this here, because they don't know what type of bucket or tractor you have, where it welds on in the plane of the overall bucket, but be transferred to this. But for their own bracket not to fit in their own bracket, that's kind of frustrating. Well, a little trimming action, a little grinding action should take care of it, but I don't think I should have to have done it. But what are you gonna do? Can't send it back. Already cut it apart. Already welded it on. I ain't cutting it off to send it back. All right, let's do it.
What?
What'd you find?
The glasses?
Yeah, they fell down.
Can I small, we can pick all the berries up?
Sure.
Because we don't want the birds eating them.
Well, what would the birds eat then?
They eat human food.
Okay. So we eat the bird food.
We're not. They eat their food and we eat our food.
Okay.
Berries are... We have to pick all the berries so the birds will eat.
Alright, well, here's where I left off. This paint is real soft, so whenever I tried to mechanically strip it, it went bad. It's not good for mechanically stripping. It just clogs up all the sandpaper and whatnot. So I put some paint stripper on it, and it worked really well here. Not so well everywhere else. It kind of smeared off, but we'll get some more stripper on it and see where we end up before I paint this. I hope to have this thing ready for paint today. Might redo that weld there and that weld there, but the rest of them are pretty good. Alright, I think I hear a little one call me, so I'll go back to this when I can. Alright, now we're getting ready to position the brackets over the plate. So what we got to do is we got to get our spacing right. So this tractor usually has pins that are only on one side, but I got these bolts and these nuts to kind of act as to kind of hold everything straight and true with the tractor. And then if you can see it in there, I got a 1/8 inch washer on both sides that keeps just a little bit of a gap, so this thing will pivot and turn freely whenever it's all on there. I shouldn't have too much worry about it sliding out. I measured it out originally. These are 3 inch, and the spacing here originally was 3 1/8 to 3. Alright, Sorry about getting cut off last time. If I even choose to air it. But anyway, so what we have here, this thing takes pins. It doesn't take bolts. But I put bolts in so I could hold this tight here. And make sure there's no real, everything lines up and everything moves kind of free. So I'm within about a 32nd of each side, but it's weird because, like, I measure about 4 15/16 from here to here, and on the other side, on the inside, it's 5. So you think, well, I gotta go 16th that way. But if you measure over here, from this side to this side, it measures out to 3 inches even, and on that side it measures 3 1/16. So I think I'm on center. I think that plate is just 1/8 of an inch wider, which throws everything a little cattywampus when you're figuring. But anyways, there's also I put these 1/8 inch washers in between here, just to give it a little space so that whenever I'm actually using it, it doesn't bind up so much. And to get that sucker level took about every little bit of know-how I know how. But it's as close to level as it's going to get. I really doubt anybody notice if it, if it's out anything, it's out a 16th over the length. The only thing I haven't decided, and I might consult with my dad about this, is what to do about this here, because it's kind of blocked in. Now, part of me says that what I ought to do is just heat this up and push it this way, and then like tack it here, and then bring it around with some heat and just kind of weld it all the way around a little bit. But we'll see what I decide to do when I get to that point. I might just not worry about it. I mean, you can get to it basically with a wrench from down below. It just kind of makes these holes kind of worthless. If I do say so myself, they're worthless. But okay, we'll give her a shot and see where we end up. Probably tack it, and then pull the pins, back the tractor up, and then fully weld, or actually pick it up, put it on a set of stands, so I ain't kneeling doing the welding, but I'll pick it up, set it on the sawhorses, and weld her up completely. Alright. Sorry everybody, I got kind of carried away with welding this sucker up. Yeah, the big thing is to make sure you can see where I got my starts and my stops. I spread my heat out a little bit. Got a little chunk of BB or something on that one, but other than that, not too bad. And I decided I can get in there with a wrench. That's good enough for me. But yeah, not bad. Now again, this has pins. I just have the bolts in for temporary, like. But I didn't weld this up with the cylinders and everything still attached. What I did was I took the tractor back off, put the bolts through, and then I tightened the nut, just hand tight on that end, so that way if it started to spread, it wouldn't spread very far, because it would have that nut there to hold it. I was more worried about spreading than shrinking. But before, it was only welded on the outside, and then up and around, and then maybe across the top here. Well, I welded it clean down. Sorry, it's a little hot still. Clean down the middle here. You can see it. So, it's actually got more strength in it than it did originally. So, I'm kind of tickled about that. But let's get this bucket on. We'll give it a try. See if it really does work. And then if it does work, I'll burn that bucket in, and maybe if we get a chance, we'll go try it on them pallet forks and see how it works. But other than paint and a little bit of finish welding on the bucket that's over there on them dollies, I'm calling this a win. Win-win. Okay. Well, now these are my Forklift Forks I just bought, and boy, do they fit pretty good. Probably not. I'm gonna set it off though. Here, buddy, come over here. Don't touch nothing. Wait for me. Stay back. That's good. Maybe I'll shoot a quick video of hooking it up to the doo-be-doo. Going out? 1 second. Okay, come on down. Go in the house, okay, buddy? Alright, I took it. It's off now. Now stand back and watch. I'm going to drive it over and I'm going to pick the bucket up. Missed it. Still getting used to it, but hang on. See if we can get this time. Get it? We'll see here in a minute. Yep, I got it. Alright. Yep, see now we're hooked up to the bucket. Yep. Alright, we're shutting her down for the night. And there's the finished product, ladies and gentlemen. It's already scratched, but I got the pins back in for final time. But, you know, it's just a tractor piece. That's how the bucket turned out. Paint. All prettied up like. So, overall, would I buy it again? Well, first off, would I do this again? Abso-freaking-lutely. It's too easy to switch between them forks over there and this bucket and whatever other attachment. It just opens you up to all kinds of different front-end attachments that you don't need to spend a whole lot of money and you know, get something custom made to fit your bucket or your front-end loader, because your front-end loader is now a universal style. Now, would I buy this one over again? I'm going to say probably not. Two major reasons. Number one is in here is a whole lot of like extra space that I don't think we really need. You know what I mean? We got a whole lot of extra depth here, and that pushes everything further forward, which reduces your overall capacity, because, you know, the further out you stick your arm, the less you can lift. So I probably could have saved maybe 4 to 6 inches here, which doesn't sound like a huge amount, but it, you know, it actually can be. And the other thing is, the company that manufactured this shipped it to me all painted red, and they used this real crappy paint. Real crappy. It wouldn't sand, it wouldn't buff. If I tried to grind it off, I'd just ruin a grinding wheel. If I tried to sand it off, I'd just use a sander or clog the sanding discs. So what I ended up doing was putting a little stripper on it and chemically stripping this, and I don't like doing that, especially because, you know, it gets in all the places where you don't necessarily want to strip the paint. I could have scuffed and shot this, but it got all covered with stripper. And actually, I don't know if you can see it on the other side. Like all this in here is where, there you go, where the stripper just kind of ate the paint a little bit. And I'm running out of time. We're getting ready to go on vacation, so I just shot it and kind of got it done. If you're going to sell something to somebody and you know they're going to be welding on it, because you had to weld some sort of bracket to this side no matter what, don't paint it, because they're just going to take it off anyway, and that just is stupid. But that's just my opinion. But overall, I'm very happy with how everything turned out. I mean, some of this stuff's way macho, and it's definitely stronger than what it was before. Like I said, when we started this project, these brackets were only welded across the top here and along this side, and now I've gone and fully welded the inside, so there's more weld holding this together. These are pretty heavy, they're pretty stout plates, and this bucket was, those were welded directly to this bucket, so now the bucket's got a whole bunch more weld in it too. I didn't weld it the whole way. I left the corners open, and I left a couple spots in here just to give it a little bit of flex if it needed to. Watching a whole bunch of welding videos, there's a lot of times where you don't want to weld something solid, because where it can't bend, it'll crack. You know, just a little flexing versus it cracking. I'd rather it just flex just a little bit. But we're going to get all saddled up and take this tractor back to my dad's where we co-own it, and that'll be that. Okay, bye. Alright, so did it work? Was it worth it? And would I do it again? Did it work? Yes, it absolutely does work. I truly think that this is a great investment and a great addition to any tractor, because now I can buy stuff like these forks, which I know are pointed straight up and down, and any other attachments I could possibly want without worrying about whether or not I'll be able to get a specific set for a Cub Cadet, because this is a Cub Cadet tractor. Now I got the same stuff that will fit a Kubota, it'll fit a Bobcat, it'll fit all kinds of different stuff, but it really opens up and makes everything a lot cheaper. Would I use this particular setup again? Probably not. I would fabricate my own. I would buy my own boxes, but I wouldn't buy the rest of it. It's just too big. You can see how much of a standoff we have here between the attachment and the actual front end of the tractor, the front end of the loader. That does reduce your overall capacity a little bit, and it's not enough to really worry about, but if I was to do it again, I would fabricate my own. And does it work? It works beautifully. I can switch from attachments in a couple minutes, which used to take hours to a half a day. I can switch from these forks to the bucket, to a snow pile that I help fabricate, back, forth, left, right. It just hands off. There's no tools involved. It's beautiful. So I would consider this project a success, and that's it for today.